I was just looking at this book, The Freemasons, The History of the World's Most Powerful Secret Society. Yes. I've noticed how many of those in office are Masons. Yes. Now, it seems that there was a problem. Just a second here. I was just reading about it. Yes. The demonstrate opposition of the Whigs in England induced King George III to repeal the Stamp Act, but at the same time they maintained the right to impose taxes in America if they wish. The Boston Tea Party, December 1773. Now, I just want to know the Mason membership of all of those that are in office. Yes. Every civil rights coordinator. Yes. All of those that are sheriffs. Yes. And this whole idea that this very strong secret society, yes, is going to continue to pay to obstruct my rights. Now, there are three reasons for this. Men who are not in fact Freemasons, but were rightly or wrongly accused of associating with them, have been listed as Freemasons. Others who later became Freemasons, but were not yet Freemasons when they engaged in their revolutionary activities, have also been included, and the role of the anti-revolutionary Freemasons has been ignored. In fact, of the 55 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, yes, only 9 were certainly Masons, and of the 39 who approved the Constitution of the United States in 1787, only 13 were or became Masons. Two of them, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh, two of them became Masons after 1787, and only 3 were already Masons before the outbreak of the Revolution in 1775. Yes. Now, the way that I see this, yes, there were 55 men who signed the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, 9 of them were certainly Masons. And of the 39 who approved the Constitution of the United States, yes, though it doesn't say they were the ratification signatures, it said they approved it as if they were sitting there thinking, well, I think we approve it. We're not going to sign it, but of the 39 that did approve it, why don't you get me the ratification of the United States Constitution? Now, many became Freemasons during the war. Yes. 33 of the general officers of the American Continental Army and 8 of Washington's aides and military secretaries were Freemasons. Seems like Freemasonry has been very involved in the United States since the ratification of the Constitution. Now, I know you're in a secret society that's been around for 250 years. Ouch. And you didn't want me to know, did you? Poop. You didn't want me to know? Well, how is it possible that I wouldn't know that? Well, 1775, if I added 200, that'd be 1975? Yes. Another 25 years will be the year 1970. It would be 2000. Yes. Add another 19 years to that. Yes. And that would be 225 and 19, 244 years. Yes. Almost 250 years. And you've been doing all that for the whole time. Good for you guys. Now, I did email the Freemasons. Yes. The Scottish Rite. And they all said we have no legal liability for the refusal to enforce the laws of the United States. But I thought you did. I thought you had a lot of liability. So I'm going to go through the Freemasons for the last 244 years and all of those that said, well, even though we're a government employee right now, our allegiance is to the Freemasonry, not to the enforcement of the laws. Because I'll ask you, now, the electoral laws. There was a Louis Napoleon issued a decree which enabled the minister even to close the newspaper for one initial warning and to imprison people without trial for 10 years. I was denied trial twice. One time when I was arrested for the 2-count allegation of violating the restraint provisions that my son Zachary would have been 14 years old and could have testified in my behalf. Yes, I was on trial. And they said I was incompetent. I wasn't fit to actually have a trial. No. I was mentally ill or mentally defective for knowing I wasn't in swim, knowing that my son could have testified, yes, knowing that I had the evidence, the exculpatory evidence that I wasn't in swim. And then I was on trial again in Jefferson County for the 2-count criminal complaint of cyberstalking and violating the restraint provisions of the protection order that my wife didn't sign that has forgeries on it. Probably two of my sons could have testified that I wasn't in Brendan, Washington. Now, this whole idea of just deciding, well, we're just going to imprison people. We're not going to protect their right to a speedy trial. Yes. We're not going to allow them to call witnesses in their favor that happen to be their actual children because we've got to enforce what a judge does. We just have to do it. And then for law enforcement to say, well, not our problem, it's not our county. We don't have to fucking exculpate the guy. I want to know every police officer of the United States that belongs to the Freemasons. Yes. I want to know exactly. Oh, oh. Well, there's that Brady versus Maryland. Do you remember that newspaper article in the Peninsula Daily News there, Nichols? Are you a Mason? Pooh! Why don't you give me all their properties again, their actual assets? And I'm kind of thinking that you are the top secret Freemasons wrote the Jewish world domination, the left and center left in France. How are the French? I haven't thought of them in so long. How is that new president over there and his wife? Are you guys doing good? I at one well, the French, yes, yes, the Field Marshal Michael van Hindenburg, the destruction, prevention, the disclosure of its secrets. I'd like to know the secrets. I remember once I was at a cafe over there where the Armed Services Center is in Port Angeles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was talking to a guy, and he was a Freemason. I said, well, do you know all the steps to get to the 33rd degree? And he said, no, they won't let you know until you get to the 32nd degree. I thought, well, why would I join an organization where I don't know what each of the requirements of the steps are before I make a commitment to want to do the steps? It's somewhat, well, it's frustrating. I know you're the 33rd degree Mason. You don't find out till the 32nd degree what you got to do.